Okay, so what do you do when someone is jealous of a boundary or acts out in a boundary? I call this boundary backlash in the book. And it's really important that you understand we all experience this. It doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. It doesn't mean that you didn't have a right to set the boundary or ask for the boundary. What happens is a lot of times when we tell someone or express someone a boundary, what we're doing is we have to first realize that we're doing it because we love that person, because we care about that person, or because we actually like that person and we want to have a good working relationship with them. Because most of us don't have to set boundaries with people we don't like. We just cannot deal with them. So if you actually have to deal with someone in the workplace, you have to figure out a way to get along. And if you set a boundary with that person, it actually means that you want to have a positive relationship. You want to have a working relationship. So the first thing to do is to remove this thought that setting a boundary is bad. Setting a boundary means I don't like them. Setting a boundary is going to hurt their feelings. So if and when you do set a boundary and you receive that backlash, the majority of the time it's going to come from jealousy. And what I mean by that is most of us don't realize that we can set boundaries in certain areas of our life. And you may be setting a boundary with someone and they're instantly like perturbed or angry or just confused by your boundary because they themselves have never set that boundary and they don't realize they can. This has happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you. Maybe someone that you work with or someone that is in your family says, I'm not going to do this thing. I'm not interested in that, or I'm not going to participate in this, or I'm not going to do this work without this. And you all of a sudden are like, well, I've done this for years with just part of my duty, even when I haven't wanted to. Why does she get to say no? Or why does he get to say no? And we instantly get this feeling of jealousy because we haven't set that boundary. So if you reframe it and understand that a lot of times the backlash we're getting isn't because they're angry at us, it's because maybe they're a little jealous, or they're coming to the realization that they themselves can set the same boundary and they've never understood that, and they might be frustrated with themselves. So it's good to always go into any boundary you're going to set with grace. Personally, I like to say, hey, because I appreciate our relationship at work, or I want to have a good relationship with you at work, I'm going to set this boundary. It's just an important thing for me when my door is shut that I'm not being interrupted. And the reason is because I have a very limited time that I want to accomplish my work. But I'm always here if you need something. Send me an email if it's an emergent. Send it urgently and say, hey, this is something that has to be addressed today, or when is the next free time you have to talk to me? So setting boundaries is something that is kind and clear, and I hope that you are loving these boundary lessons and you check out my book. And if you don't subscribe to my newsletter at becomebrave.com, you should.